Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. We've wined and dined you, so you can settle in for the next 3 hours and listen to. Lock the doors. No, we're going to try to get this done in 45 minutes or so. We're going to talk a little bit about where the city's been. We're going to also talk about and show you a couple of videos about where we're planning to go, and talk about that a little bit. We're also going to break out a new marketing tool that we're devising. And then after that, we're going to have a little bit of question and answering from Patrick. He's devised some real stumpers for me tonight, I've heard. So at any rate, I welcome and thank you all again for attending. The first thing we always start out recognizing what we call dignitaries, although I don't call being in politics a very dignified thing, but it is, the effort that people put into their communities means a lot, and their partnerships to us mean a lot. So we have from Riverside County, Chuck Washington was here. Riverside County is so important to us. They have the wine country, La Cresta and Santa Rosa Plateau. They also provide a lot of services through contracts with other cities. So we are pleased to have Chuck join us earlier. Of course, he's very busy right now, and so he had to run out before we locked the door. And we also have John Hunneman from State Senator Jeff Stone's office. Thank you very much, John, for attending. So we also have our, what makes Southwest Riverside County special is all of the different communities that we have. They're all individual, yet we all like to work together and support each other in whatever it is that we're trying to bring those values that people have to their communities. And so, Canyon Lake, I don't know if there's anybody here from Canyon Lake today, but Canyon Lake, obviously, they offer year-round vacation land. They've got their golf course and they've got their lake, and you can live on the lake and golf, and it's a great community. So they really contribute a lot for their community and give those folks a great place and a great quality of life. Lake Elsinore, that's where you get to dream extreme, right? Yes, dream extreme. And they have the people jumping out of airplanes. I don't know who does that. Certainly not me. They have their lake. But, more than that, they have some great leadership there. And I'm pleased to have with us tonight Steve Manos, the mayor, Natasha Johnson, who's a past mayor and council member, and city manager Grant Yates. We're all particularly proud of them. They went through a lot of catastrophes this year. They had the floods. First they had the fires, then they had the floods because of the fires, and then all of that bad runoff went into their lake and killed a bunch of fish. And then they had nature's blessing. They had the, what do you call that, the poppy lips? Yes, they had the giant poppy fields that all decided to spring up at once. And they did an outstanding job managing that through a lot of different mediums. So we'll give them a hand. Thank you. We also have from the city of Wildomar, I'm going to go with the city of Menifee first. We have Mayor Bill Zimmerman. We have Armando Villa, the city manager. Pat Walsh, who is the new police chief. And Dave Brown, who has been helping formulate their police services there in Menifee. So Menifee used to be a sleeping giant. They formulated their city, I think about 9 years ago. Time flies, right? But they are no longer a sleeping giant. They're making great strides and providing great community for their residents and a great quality of life there. We also have from the city of Temecula, Zach Schwenk, who is their newest council member. Aaron Adams, their city manager, who I've known and been associated with a long time, and Lisa McConnell, their police chief. Temecula, what can you say? They're an awesome city. They've done a lot of great things. They've created a great tourism industry in their community. They have great neighborhoods, good parks, and just a really well-run city. So we're proud to be their neighbors also. So we also have Wildomar. Wildomar is a newer city that's trying to balance this rural living with the city conveniences. And they're doing a great job of that. And we're happy to have Joseph Morbido here with us tonight. Joseph, it's nice to see you. Thank you. Let's see, we also have from our Murrieta Valley School District, Linda Lum and Ken Dixon. The school district is really important to us. Thank you guys for attending. From Western Municipal Water District, we have Brenda Denstad, the director for this area. And from the city of Hemet, my good friends from the city of Hemet, Bonnie Wright, who is the mayor, and Russ Brown, who is the mayor pro tem. He's not the motorcycle attorney, okay? Don't bother him about that. So another great partner in our region, as you all know, is the Pachanga band of Luciano Indians. They have probably one of the best, if not the best, luxurious casino in the United States. And what they do in terms of providing for jobs, but also participating, helping out our charities and things that are here in the valley. It's awesome to have them as partners for all of us. And they are an important part of making up what the southwestern Riverside County is. So thank you to all of them for their participation in making our valley great. So, don't worry, council, we'll get to you. They're all sitting, wait a minute. So anyway, I want to talk a little bit about Murrieta. Because our little gem sits right in the middle of the southwest Riverside County, and that's one of the things that makes us great. We have come a long ways, and we're continuing to make progress on that, but in order to do that, we always need a great working team. And so tonight, I am proud and pleased to introduce our council. We have Councilmember Christy White, Councilmember Scott Vinton, Councilmember Jonathan Ingram hiding in the lights over there, his wife Melody, and then also we have Mayor Pro Tem Randon Lane. Hey, Randon. Okay, so the most important people on my VIP list, sorry everybody, is my lovely little family. I love them to death. I have my wife Denise, who's sitting up here, cringing because I just introduced them. And I have 3 daughters. I have 1, 2, and 3. 2 and 3 are here. We have my 2 daughter, that's Melanie, and my 3 daughter, that's Elise. So wave your hands, girls. There you go. That's how that works. So we also have a great city staff that's helping put all this together, helping keep us in our lane, so to speak, as a council. And that staff is led by none other than our city manager, Kim Summers. Kim, take a bow. We also have Assistant City Manager Ivan Holler. We have our Fire Chief here tonight, Scott Ferguson. Did you see the extinguisher on the floor over there? No, leave it. Just leave it. We have our Development Services Director, Jeff Murphy. Stacy Stevenson, sorry Stacy, is our Administrative Services Director, and she's doing a terrific job. You all know Scott Agajanian. He's our Economic Development Director. Thank you, Scott. So I also want to thank all of you, the citizens, the businesses that cared enough to come take a little bit of time out of your night tonight to come and listen to what's going on in our city. And I want to spend a little bit more time talking about our little connected community that we have and how all of that has a role in creating the dynamic in our great city. We're going to talk a little bit about what we had to do to get here. 1991, a long time ago, 28 years ago, is when we incorporated. Our 28th birthday is coming up next Saturday, birthday bash. If you have dogs, we have fireworks, so put them inside. And but come on out to the birthday bash. We have great bands. It's a great event, and we do fireworks a little early because it's cheaper that way too. So anyway, we incorporated in '91, and there was a huge emphasis on being safe as a community. Everybody wanted great public safety services. So we took that giant step to have our own. And over the years, that has grown. It's not lost its place as an important part of our community. And so that's one of the things that is a cornerstone of our community. Another thing that is a cornerstone that we don't really have control over, but fortunately we have great people and great leadership, that is our school district. We have one of the #1 school districts in the top, I forgot, it's top 10 or something in the whole nation. So we have a great school district. My kids are products of that great school district, so I'm very proud of them and very proud to work alongside them. So we've also continued to make progress on things that haven't had an opportunity to come to fruition yet, and we'll talk about those things in a little bit. Let's see, I want to spend a little time talking about like I said before, our connected community. You know, along the way we've had to identify some of the changes. Since '91, we've had a lot of administrative changes and also a lot of changes in councils. And, you know, those things are kind of like a relay race. The initial group starts out the race with their baton, and then when they get tired and worn out, they hand the baton off to the next group. The next group has to kind of reset, and then they hand it off to the next group. So we're about 5 or 6 into that, 5 or 6 legs into that. And like any other group, we have had to do our reset and prepare ourselves for what's to come. And there are some things that we've been doing to accomplish that. One of those things is that we've had to reevaluate all the aspects of our services and identify some of the community needs that we might not have been able to identify a long time ago, but now we know that they're there. We want to use new technology and programs to create more transparency and also to make us more efficient with your tax dollars. Addressing fiscal issues and the liabilities has been a big deal. This has been something that has been going on for the last 2 years. We feel like we're kind of got to the point now. We have our new budgets are being prepared as we speak, and probably we will approve those tomorrow night. And all of the issues that were left over from the recession era have been dealt with, and we're ready to move on. And so the staff did a terrific job responding to the council's direction of hope and wish that, oh, good Lord, can we just not have more surprises? Let's get these things done and let's move on. All of the administrations and council members that have come before us have put their all into this city, and it shows. So what we want to do is we want to take that baton from them, build on what they have created, and then move on into the future and create some more. But one other real important thing is when we leave, when it's time for us to pass that baton off, we want the next generation to just be able to take that and run with it and do more exciting things in Murrieta. So thank you. So we are a stable and prosperous city, and there is still more things, but there's a lot of things that we still can do. We have a very low crime rate, as you guys all know. We have a high average income. We have high levels of education for our workforce. We have a growing economic base that we are continually work on, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So we have a great potential to increase our local job base here, and we'll be working on that. And we're trying to work with some of our other government partners to make sure that we enable some of those areas that produce those jobs to be able to come to fruition. We do some streamlining of our development processes, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. Increasing our transparency. We want you guys to know what's going on. We want you to be able to get on the internet and just look it up and be able to and be able to find the information you want. So we're also hell-bent on improving, catching up on some of the things that may have been unable to be addressed while we had the recession and then while we were realizing what our economic condition was. And in order to do that, Measure T was something we went to the public with. And they responded by telling us, yes, we're willing to do that. And we owe them a great deal of a debt of gratitude because that is something that is going to make a huge, huge difference in their community. So now that that table is reset, I'm going to take a little break from talking. And don't clap for that. Very good. All right, very good. And direct you to a video that will allow everyone to get a glimpse of what Murrieta will accomplish in the near future.
This past January, the Murrieta City Council held their annual council workshop, where they discussed the vision of the city and prioritized the numerous opportunities and challenges ahead. The day reinforced that the highest priority of the City Council and staff is to fulfill the promises made to citizens who voted for Measure T, resulting in exciting changes, particularly in the area of public safety. After extensive review and rigorous evaluation, Murrieta Fire and Rescue was recently accredited by the Center for Public Safety Excellence, one of only 20 agencies to be accredited in the state of California. Through this multi-year process of review and strategic planning, opportunities for improvement were reviewed and deficiencies identified. But without Measure T, demands outpaced funding. Thanks to the city's new revenue stream, new plans were developed to aggressively address these issues with new programs that will benefit the entire city and organization. Of primary concern was a lack of adequate staffing, resulting in emergency response times that need to be improved. To begin to address this, the city is creating 2 new medic patrols, which will add an additional 4 firefighter-paramedics to the department each day, 12 in total. These smaller squads will be able to nimbly respond to basic life safety calls around the city, allowing the larger engines to remain available for fires, accidents, and advanced life safety calls. This also reduces wear and tear on the engines, which extends their service life. Paired with new software that will allow our dispatchers to quickly triage calls and send the appropriate equipment and staffing, response times are expected to improve significantly. This new dynamic pairing will allow for increased versatility in how the department responds to fires and medic calls, improving safety for the firefighters and community. The city will also be focusing on replacing aging and failing equipment, as well as making repairs to fire facilities where maintenance has been deferred for over 10 years. This fall, citizens will begin seeing the 2 new medic squads responding around the city, but also a new Type 1 engine and a water tender to replace vehicles well past their service life. New protective gear will be purchased and vital equipment replaced, such as a new air compressor to fill the air tanks, the current one being 28 years old. All of this, as well as efforts to improve radio communication in dead areas, will happen seamlessly in the background. One thing that won't change is the department's commitment to serving the public and helping citizens when they need it most. The City of Murrieta Police Department continues to make Murrieta one of the safest cities in the nation, consistently ranked in the top 10 of cities with populations over 100,000. This is accomplished despite the population and calls for service steadily increasing, while police staffing levels have not. Over the next year, we will be adding 14 new police positions, which will have a direct impact and will be visible throughout each neighborhood. This includes 4 new patrol officers and an additional motorcycle officer who will be seen throughout the community. In addition, a sergeant position will be created who will oversee our new body-worn camera program, which will help improve overall transparency and accountability. The addition of a school resource officer will complete our partnership team with the nationally recognized Murrieta Valley Unified School District, with every middle and high school campus having an officer that works directly with students on a daily basis to help them navigate some of the challenges students face and help reduce the use of drugs, peer pressure, and violence. A key component to the department's success is that over 45% of Murrieta police officers live in the city, many having graduated from school here. To build on that trend, the department will also be able to start a new cadet program, which will allow promising students in the community to prepare for a future in law enforcement. The addition of 2 dispatchers, needed in part for our new emergency medical dispatch program, as well as the increasing demands of our growing population, is underway. These positions will be required in addition to the 12 to 16 new dispatch positions that will be needed should the City of Menifee contract with Murrieta to provide dispatch services to their new police department, which will start July 1, 2020. These additional positions, fully funded by the City of Menifee, will allow for overall improved communications in multi-city responses, as well as providing substantial savings for both cities. Another aspect of policing that is facing an increasing demand is the city's homeless outreach program. Currently, police officers and city staff work closely with neighboring cities to address this growing problem that is being seen throughout California. Additional funding will allow the city's program to expand services on both the police and city sides, helping the most challenged and vulnerable of our population get the assistance they require. The Council's goal to aggressively pursue economic development continues to expand our business base despite the changes taking place in the retail industry. The number of vacancies for large block retail space has dropped as staff works diligently to fill spaces vacated by Toys R Us, Babies R Us, and Sports Authority. Interest in developing facilities for light industrial and manufacturing continues to be strong, although this type of development is challenged by a lack of water infrastructure in those areas zoned for this type of use. Working through multiple large entitlement projects, over the last few months the city welcomed a new Black Bear Diner, as well as activity in the Auto Center with a new, larger, state-of-the-art BMW dealership and a new Mitsubishi dealership. Work continues on the development of Costco, a new Wyndham timeshare in the downtown, and the new Holiday Inn and Restaurants, which can be seen under construction at the 15 freeway at Cal Oaks. Innovation continues as a strong focus with the Innovation Center, home of 7 biotechnology startups, including the region's only genomic sequencing laboratory and clinical trials lab. The city's goal is to help these young companies accelerate their growth by providing them connections to our outstanding educational facilities, venture capitalists, and opportunities, such as the County of Riverside's Innovation Month, so that they may expand out of the center, hire local, and still call Murrieta home. Murrieta's downtown continues to thrive, with strong interest from developers thanks in part to new incentive programs such as a new in-lieu parking program, restaurant revolving fund for new sewer connections, and parcel assemblage benefits like an additional story, processing, and impact fee reductions. These efforts, along with new streamlining improvements implemented by the Development Services Department this past year, have resulted in the recently approved Murrieta Marketplace, the successful LaGrange Grill and Cellars, and the purchase of property for the 163-room Wyndham timeshare, all located on the north end of Washington. Discussions for an additional hotel, retail, and entertainment venues are ongoing. As mentioned, improvements to simplify and streamline the city's entitlement process continues, with the ongoing success of monthly developers meetings, regular updates, and improvements to the city's land development regulations, and the recent purchase of new permit tracking software. Once implemented later this year, the new system will greatly improve tracking, workload management, accountability, and transparency. Also, with the addition of 6 new positions fully funded by permit fees and a new integrated voice recognition system, the city will be able to provide improved customer access and services. With fiscal concerns being a predominant theme whenever new goals are being set, at this year's workshop with the City Council, it was decided to expand one of their goals to further express their deep commitment to fiscal sustainability, transparency, accountability, and organizational efficiency. To further this goal, the city is committed to preparing the fiscal year's 2019 to 21 budget with higher reserve levels of 30%, the creation of sustainability funds for ongoing facility maintenance, which has been deferred for many years, vehicle replacement funds for both the fleet and public safety vehicles, a technology replacement fund for equipment replacement and software maintenance, and a focus on reestablishing the Economic Contingency Fund, which has carried the city through the fiscal roller coaster of the last decade. The Council and staff recognize that the oversight and accountability of Measure T funds is critical in order to assure citizens that the sales tax increase is being spent appropriately on those areas that were identified as the highest priority. 2 pieces of this ongoing effort are the newly appointed 3-person Citizen Oversight Committee, who will periodically review the city's Measure T expenditures to evaluate their use, as well as a new revenue and expenditure dashboard on the city website, which will also allow citizens to track where the funds are going. The city will be receiving revenues this summer. The application and management process of grants is complex and time-consuming. However, the city's efforts have brought funding for a variety of public safety programs, park development, roadway improvements, water and sewer infrastructure, and the construction of new facilities. Due to staffing limitations, a new grant-writing firm will begin assisting in these areas where the grants are complex and highly technical. Infrastructure development and repair continues to be a council priority that has been very aggressive over the last decade, as evidenced by the construction or expansion of interchanges on both the I-15 and 215 freeways. The highest priority and possibly the last freeway improvement planned to improve transportation within the city is the Keller Road interchange, which has entered the environmental phase and features an innovative layout that will be unique to California. The mayor, mayor pro tem, and staff visited the city's legislators and agency representatives in Washington, D.C., working to acquire funding to fill the $22 million gap for construction. And when final funding for this $58 million project is secured, construction could begin in early 2021. Upon completion, the city will have completed 7 interchanges and 3 freeway bridges. To further improve traffic control within the city, the widening of Hot Springs from Murrieta to Winchester continues to move slowly forward. It has been a challenge due to issues with limited right-of-way and constraints caused by adjacent conservation areas. It is anticipated to begin in early 2020. This summer, residents will begin seeing the start of an aggressive street paving program, which will include residential streets throughout the city, as well as repairs and paving on California Oaks from the I-15 freeway to Clinton Keith and Hancock from California Oaks to Hot Springs. New software is also being implemented to rate the condition of all city streets to allow for planning of repairs into the future. Water infrastructure continues to be a concern with the city of Murrieta. Along with Western Municipal Water District, Eastern Municipal Water District, and Rancho California Water District, the city has been working with LAFCO to conduct a municipal service review for the area that was formerly the service territory of the Murrieta County Water District. The purpose of this review is to determine what infrastructure is needed both now and in the future in order to facilitate the development contemplated by the general plan and the downtown specific plan. Once LAFCO makes a final determination on the study, which is anticipated later this year, the city will begin working with the appropriate water purveyor to bring water to underserved or unserved areas. Over the years, the cost of maintaining hundreds of acres of city-owned property, including parks, medians, and right-of-way areas, have increased substantially, resulting in weeds, sparse landscapes, and the inability to convert many of these areas to reduce water usage. Now, additional funding will be allocated to begin repairing landscape areas throughout the city and allow for increased weed removal during the spring and summer months, followed by repairs during the off-seasons. A variety of other services will be rolled out over the coming year in order to coordinate and deliver responsive and effective community services, which is another council goal. In the city clerk's office, you will soon be able to get a passport, access notary services, and even get married. In a recent citywide survey, citizens expressed concern about quickly addressing graffiti on public and private property. Thanks to Measure T, the city will expand graffiti abatement and prevention efforts, which will be accomplished with the addition of 1 new code enforcement officer. With this addition, along with new programs and policies, it will be possible to rapidly remove, identify, track, and aggressively pursue violators. The addition of another park ranger will help meet the increasing usage of the city's 52 parks, providing an additional safety element where required. Residents will also see the start of the long-awaited Phase 1 of Pioneer Park in the downtown, the Senior Center outdoor recreation facility next to the Senior Center, and the Town Square Park amphitheater improvements, which include a stage, restrooms, improved lighting, security cameras, and facilities for performers and equipment. The library continues to see attendance expand as visitors do more than just check out a book. They can access the internet, learn a new instrument or language, and check out movies and music. For those who love books, the city will be expanding its collection, as well as making facility repairs, installing security cameras, and replacing aging self-check stations. If you haven't visited the library lately, check it out. A new citywide communication program will be launched this summer with the hiring of a public information officer. This staff member will be responsible for all internal and external communications with the goal of city messages reaching as many citizens as possible. This will be accomplished via the city's new website, expanded newsletter, social media channels, and media relations. Communication professionals in both police and fire will continue to provide the content that has earned them a dedicated following. As you can see, the city of Murrieta has a lot going on that will positively impact residents and businesses on a daily basis, while safeguarding the organization fiscally going forward. The addition of 36 new positions over the next year will allow us to expand our customer service, providing new programs, increasing safety, and maintaining the assets that fall under the city's responsibility.
So thank you. You can see that we have a lot going on. We're going to be taking both the money that we have from our increased economic development and then also the Measure T money, and we're going to be addressing those things to the public that we had promised them. We are enhancing our public safety services, as you can see. We are going to be addressing some of the service issues that we have had. We're addressing the aesthetics of the city, and one of those projects, okay, if you go out and look, we had a lot of complaints when we had peeling paint on our light standards that are throughout the older town-specific plan area, our historic downtown specific plan, and you'll see that all of those light standards have been repainted, and they look great. We hope that citizens will cooperate in keeping them great by not putting 4 rolls of tape around signs that shouldn't be there. So anyway, but we do have a lot of the things that have been bothering people that we're trying to address as quickly as possible and move on to in the future. We're using it to streamline development processes, because a streamlined development process means it translates into more development that pays for the services that we want without raising taxes. And that's something we've always had a goal in, and we found that given the environment handed down to us by the state and other factors, that's just something we have to do. So we have, since we have that Measure T funding, we are going to use it the right way to address those issues that that bother people most. One of the things with our park system that we're going to be we're exploring right now and are anxious to get underway with is an interactive, inclusive park that'll be coming on next year for some of our more challenged community out there. The people that are left out, people with autism and other disabilities. We want a place for them to go and enjoy a park and be able to enjoy it safely and get the experience that other people get when they go to a park. So we're excited about doing that. We're also looking at a remote control track for you remote control enthusiasts. We're taking some of the amenities of what we don't have and putting them into some of these 52 parks. So they're not just grass and maybe some play equipment. And we're trying to make those utilized. We're also looking at some public-private partnerships to look at some of the pressing needs for our athletic fields. As you can see in one of the slides, our athletic fields get used a lot. Los Alamos Hills Park, I went by there, looked like Disneyland the other day. So all of that creates wear and tear that it's hard to keep up with. It's an indication that we need more. And we'd love to be able to host tournaments for soccer or tennis or a myriad of the other sports, water polo, any of those sports that people are engaging in these days. So there's a lot of things that we want to keep trying to achieve and accomplish in our community and move it forward. So, one of the tools that we're rolling out this evening in our economic development efforts is, I mentioned that we have a connected community, so I'm going to expand a little bit on that concept. What being connected means is that we support one another, every resident, every business, every government agency. We are all connected in some way when it comes to seeing what we want, not only in Murrieta, but in our region. Everyone is connected by the successes of our businesses. Everyone is connected by the success of our schools. We are all connected by the great amenities that our city and our region has to offer. And we are all connected by our desire to live in a safe community. We are connected to it all because Murrieta sits right in the middle of it all. So to reflect on this, Murrieta has been working with the local business to rebrand ourselves. Now, some of you are aware of the other brands that we have had. You know, the Gem of the Valley, it was when I came on way a long time ago. We've had Murrieta, a great place to grow. Now that we have marijuana legislation, we thought, no, that one doesn't work anymore. So it's not a great place to grow, in case any of you are interested in that. We had one other one that escapes me at this time. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to create a new branding, a new logo that's fresh and will take us forward. This doesn't mean that we're discounting what the other logos meant to us. They will be part of our history forever. We are not going to tear them down once we decide to move on. And so we've come up with a new logo, and we're excited to be able to introduce that. This new logo helps represent a new, fresh effort with kind of like a little bit of sunshiny activity. It makes us, we bask in the glow of where we live. And so in order to roll this new logo out, and our new slogan, which you might have guessed by now, is connected by community. And so that will be our new slogan rolling into the future. We have the following video to help introduce the new branding effort. It's just about 2.5 minutes long, just in case you were wondering. And after the video, Patrick Ellis is going to bombard me with some of the most pressing questions that our community has. And then we're going to wrap it up after that. So sit back, enjoy the video on our new branding, and we'll be back for question and answers afterwards.
Y'all like that? I think it's pretty cool. So for those of you who were able to join us last November, we launched Explore Murrieta, which is our tourism branding for our area. I think this pairs well with what we're kind of pushing out there. So we're very excited with this new branding from our perspective. So Mayor Seyarto, thank you for doing this with us today. So I do have a few questions that we've kind of gone over with some of our board members and such. So we will not try and stick you with the really tough ones, but we definitely want to know some things that are going on. So a couple years ago, the city, you kind of mentioned in your presentation, the city approved the downtown specific plan for our area. Now that that's in place, we just kind of approved the in lieu parking fee structure, which as I kind of refer to as the trifecta for the downtown area. Now that that's in place, what do you start to see coming to the downtown area and what we might look forward to seeing?
Well, as mentioned in the video, we have a couple of exciting projects. The Wyndham Hotel and Resort project at the corner of Washington and Calmia is going to be going in eventually. They're getting through the process right now. And we also have Murrieta Marketplace, and they had a quick picture of that up there. Thank you, Kelly. And it's a great indication of what we're trying to accomplish with the rest of the Washington block, the whole block there. We're trying to create a sense of a place for people to go with their families, with their friends, when they come and visit. A relaxed place where they can go have a bite to eat, or just stroll around, visit some shops, do some businesses that they'd like to get their hair done and stuff. We have some of that down there, but we'd like to grow that a little bit more, especially when it comes to restaurants and that type of thing. We'd also like to be able to allow some people to live down there. So on the top of some of these buildings, you may find that some of those work with condominiums or something for people who just want to live in kind of a little quaint downtown area. We're not trying to achieve the great things that Temecula has achieved. I don't know if we could support that many people coming into our community, but we certainly can make our downtown area a really nice place for families to enjoy themselves and live in our community.
Very good. I think a lot of us have seen the potential down there with certain events moving down there as far as the Murrieta Rod Run, things of that sort. So I think there's some great things coming. The city has hired on some very strategic individuals into the senior staff positions, which in my opinion has been absolutely phenomenal. There's been a very concerted effort to streamline a lot of the city processes to make it much more effective for residents and developers. Can you elaborate on why is that important for the city to focus on?
Well, sometimes you have to own some of the issues that you've had out there. And one of those issues is that through no fault of the particular people in place, regulations have come down, and it's made it very, very hard to get through a development process and very costly. Delays are costly. And when we had a change in our development services, that puts a strain on development because we are strain on the staff because they have to bring in somebody new who has to develop a sense for what we want in this community. But it also gives you an opportunity, and that opportunity is to try to help streamline, try to help identify the problems that we've had and make those problems go away, for lack of a better term. Jeff Murphy, our development services director, has come in from San Diego. And we've also had Ivan Haller, our assistant city manager, who are both well versed in the development industry as far as from the government side and being able to come up with programs and things that help people that want to do business in our community and want to set up those businesses so that we can have the restaurants and the retail and the other things that we want in our community. Those folks come in here, they set up. Our direction basically as a council to them was, okay, everybody's screaming about the process, let's fix the process. They are problem solvers, and they have showed their mettle in that department. By streamlining a lot of the processes, we understand that delays are costly, and we can't be arrogant about that. If people are going to do business, if they want to do business in our community, we want them to have a great experience here. because that's, they're part of it. They're just another partner in making this community what it is. And we want to make sure that their needs are fulfilled when they come here.
Great. I know you talked a little bit about in the presentation and during the video, there was a lot about Measure T and what that impact is going to be immediately. What do you see, though, as far as what's the long term of that impact from Measure T?
Well, there's a couple of elements to the use of Measure T money. One of them is catching up in some of the areas where we've let kind of lag behind. Our public safety services, we haven't had new police officers for ages. We've basically replaced the ones that we've lost. Meanwhile, the population grows. We get more calls because there's more calls for service because of some of the legislation that has occurred in California. And the same thing with the fire department. We haven't had additional staffing there. And as we age as a community, we need more. We have a tendency to burn more houses just because of the aging infrastructure in houses. So we don't burn them, but the houses catch on fire because of some of their aging infrastructure. So as that happens, we can't be a community that uses every single one of our resources on one house fire. So we have to expand the fire services as well, and a lot of those fire services are EMS calls. And so, being able to take care of some of the things that have lagged behind is a big deal. We got to catch up on some of the other stuff, the street paving, as you saw. Some of our streets don't just need to be slurry sealed, folks. They need to be replaced. We got to scrape the top off and re-asphalt, and because they're due. They've been there for nearly 30 years, and so that's another thing. So a lot of money is going to go up front on capital projects to catch up, and once those capital projects are done, and we are also in the process of reestablishing certain funds to ensure that in the future, when we need things done, we'll have the money in the bank to do them instead of trying to search for the money to do them. And so doing that kind of fiscal management, as the capital projects get done, we continue our other funds, then we'll be able to reroute more money into the public safety services, into like code enforcement. That's another area there. We struggle with a little bit because they're very reactive because we just don't have enough people to be super proactive. So as time goes on, more money frees up to be able to work on those other problems too. But in the next couple of years, we're really focused on trying to catch up, make the city look better, make our streets more passable, and also make sure that we fulfill the needs of public safety. Because after all, that is one of the cornerstones of our community, is our public safety, and we want to continue that for you.
Thanks. I know a lot of residents have heard a lot of the issues concerning the local water districts and some of the issues going on there. And I know it's in LAFCO's hands at this point. It's not the city's hands. They just kind of help funding the study. But tell us, why is water infrastructure so important to Murrieta as far as whether it's residents or whether it's developers?
Well, when the city develops a general plan, there are certain elements. There's a housing element, a public safety element, there's a business growth development, retail. All of that comes together and provides an economic base that helps you be successful as a city, fiscally successful, as well as from a quality of life standpoint. If you have an area that is not developing the way it should develop, then what you have is a big hole in your economic base. And that's what we need to address. We have a couple of areas that were never really served, and they're very difficult to serve because they need a lot of infrastructure, and that infrastructure costs a lot of money. So what we're trying to do is this is one of those issues that has been out on the horizon for many years. People knew it was there, but there were other areas to develop in our community, and it wasn't such a big hole. Well, now we're seeing the results of that big hole, and part of it affects our downtown specific plan, and part of it affects the area that is just south of where Walmart is. In that whole area, you don't see the development out there that we need. And that area is specifically good for jobs. for bringing, corporations that may want to do some, stop having their 1,000 people drive over the hill. Maybe they can do some satellite buildings here and get people here instead of jumping on the freeway and contributing to the kind of the traffic that we're seeing on the freeway. We want people not to have to drive 4 hours. We want them to spend those 4 hours with their families. And so it is important when we see things that are affecting the development of the general plan that we address those. And sometimes they are hard to address and because maybe the answer is really difficult to implement. But we have to know what the problem is. We have to know what the solutions are, and we have to know how much those cost so that we can step up to the plate and get those things done, because that's the only way we're going to be able to correct the jobs imbalance or to grow the economic base that we need to provide the services and continue to provide the services that we offer our community.
Very good. Last month, I was privileged again to attend the ICSC, the International Council of Shopping Centers show with the city to help with attracting new retailers, businesses, developers. So why is it important, and why is it important for the city to go and attend that? And what are some of the things that, what are some of the other things that the city are doing to attract more business and retail to our community?
Well, ICSC is the International Conference of Shopping Centers. And at that is developers, we have retail businesses, commercial brokers, et cetera. And they're the ones who help bring businesses into town. The retail sector is suffering mightily because of the shift in how people shop. I'm looking at my wife because she knows what I'm going to say. So a lot of people like to shop on Amazon, and Amazon delivers their package, but meanwhile that brick and mortar store down the street doesn't get the support it needs. So there's a shift in that economic cycle that we have to adjust to, and we have to help our retail centers adjust to. And so when we're there, we can not only network, and we networked with about, I think, 80 some odd meetings this last couple of weeks ago. Maybe it was 3 weeks ago. So we do a lot of networking, and it helps us bring attention to our area and what our area has to offer. There's a lot of people out there that don't really recognize what this community has to offer. And so we need to go out and tell them that it is a viable community to do business in, that they will be successful when they get here. And then we want them to hear, and when they get here, our community will be glad they're here. So they're a very, very important element, and that's our opportunity to go out and look for those things. I know a lot of people talk about, Trader Joe's and Whole Foods and all these other great stores, but they need to want to be here, and that's our opportunity to go out there and make them want to be here.
And that's a great point, because I know the very first ICSC show I went with the city, every meeting we went to was almost every one of them was us telling them where Murrieta was and who we are and everything about us. And this year, just about every meeting we were in was more of, oh yeah, we already know about Murrieta, we're coming, or we're looking at it, or that kind of thing. So that name recognition and that information about who we are and what we are is so vitally important.
Right. Well, and I'll just use one little example. Okay, In-N-Out Burger had absolutely zero interest in being in Murrieta, and I was I think about 13 years ago. But we met them at ICSC, and we made our pitch. I told them why Murrietans don't go to In-N-Out Burger in the other cities. And so he said, okay, you know what, I'm going to come out and look. So they came out and looked, and next thing you know, we got an In-N-Out Burger. So, and that's just one. That's a small example, but I love In-N-Out Burger, so that's what I'm going to use. And I grew up in Baldwin Park. That's where the first In-N-Out Burger was. And so that was part of my pitch. So, but that same scenario is done over and over with a bunch of different retailers, a bunch of different restaurants. All these people need to know that in spite of what they might see when they look at the big picture, they understand that there's a different dynamic out here, and they need to take advantage of that, and that's what we do there. So,
Very good. All right, so this will be our last question. And I think that we're going to rename this first off, as this will be questions from the beard moving forward. We'll figure out a way to brand that moving forward. But you have been extremely involved with the chamber over the last year or so, and you've been to a lot of ribbon cuttings and a lot of our events and our mixers and such. So the last question is probably the most important one. Knowing your habits at some of our events, what is your favorite dessert? And I may be getting you in trouble with your trainer or your wife or somebody, but we need to know, what is the favorite one?
Well, when I go to chamber events, it's got to be carrot cake or chocolate cake or the cookies or the tiramisu.
Or I think anything with sugar in it.
Anything with sugar in it. But no, the chamber events are great. It's awesome going to these ribbon cuttings and watching our new businesses come into town and flourish. And yes, I appreciate that they bring us little snacks. I don't eat all of those things all at once. But I do have a bit of a sweet tooth. And so I enjoy the events and their food. I will admit that.
And I will say, as I tease him, because literally every single event he comes to and he eats, he goes, all right, I'm going to the gym now.
Okay. Okay, I was just going to say, you don't have to elaborate that too much. My wife thinks I lay off on all that stuff. You know?
He works it off, I swear.
Consider the cover blown.
Yeah.
And
but I on behalf of the Murrieta-Wildomar Chamber of Commerce, our board of directors, I want to thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for your time. I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. Any last words from the mayor?
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for waiting to applaud until after I speak instead of, but no, you know, our community is special. Everybody's community is special to them. And everybody's trying to craft that community that responds to the values that their citizens have, and we're no different. And so we are proud of our community. We're very proud of the accomplishments by our staff and our council in the last few years. And in fact, since we incorporated. We're constantly trying to build on that, and we will build on that. We are a connected community. And I want to say thank you to all of you for taking the time to be here tonight and find out a little bit more about where we're headed. And so you too can be supportive, and we are always available for suggestions, ideas, etc. on what the community wants and wants to see. So thank you all for being here tonight. And with that, we're going to call it a night and let you go home. So thank you.